Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivardhari Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yasodhanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Baba Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Brajajana Ranjana Nandana Brajajana Bihari. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Om Agyantimidandasya Jnananjana Chalakaya Chakshurum Milidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Isari Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Veshatarine Vanshakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya evacha Patithanam Bhavanebhyo Vishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you for coming this evening. Special gratitude to Karamji Prabhu for so kindly inviting me, giving me this opportunity. In the Bhagavad Gita, Lord Sri Krishna teaches Daiviheshu gunamayi mamamaya duratyaya mamevamye prapadyante mayameta tarantite. This material nature, which is being controlled by the three forces or gunas, goodness, passion, and ignorance, is very, very difficult to overcome. Whatever we try to do, inevitably, in due course of time, there will be challenges. There will be disappointments. There will be betrayals. There will be suffering. But there'll also be successes. and wonderful companionship and so many other things. Because the nature of this world is everything is always changing. To try to make spiritual progress, or actually to be sustainably successful in anything, is a sort of a battle. Battle with our own mind, our own conditioned habits, what to speak of other people, and environmental conditions. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu categorized the miseries of existence in three: Adhyatmaka, Adhibhautaka, Adhidaivaka. The challenges that cause suffering in one's own body and mind, anxiety, depression, confusion, stress, the body, diseases, fatigue, pain. And then there's those challenges and sufferings that are inflicted by other living beings. Mosquitoes. I think just next door in the ocean there's sharks. Snakes. Cockroaches. Right? Rats and mice, and so many things. Some places it's leopards and tigers. And then humans. How much adhibhautaka, or sufferings they could create. Maybe family members, people we call friends, enemies, opposite parties, politicians, governments, other nations. And then there's the sufferings caused by environment. There's earthquakes, tsunamis, droughts, fires, floods, tornadoes, hurricanes. Each one of these categories actually has countless examples. And who are we to overcome the powers of this material energy? Actually, Maya, or the illusory potency, which is the background and the empowering factor behind all of these challenges, is the most powerful. That force that keeps us in illusion, keeps us covered from understanding who we really are and what we really want in life. The Adhyatmaka, Adhidaivaka, Adhibhautaka are very, very powerful and beyond us. But far more than that is this illusory energy that keeps us deluded from understanding who we are and what we really want in life. Avidya. In this verse, Krishna tells, if we take shelter of him, if we take shelter of that Supreme Being who is Mayadhyakshena Prakriti Suyate Sachirachana, the controller of all controllers, of all energies, spiritual and material. If we take shelter of Krishna, we can easily cross beyond. Otherwise, even when we think we're making progress, we're just about to fall into another trap. I know many of you do not go fishing. But when you go fishing, part of the art, I've been told, is you put something that's attractive on the hook. So they don't know it's a hook. They think it's something that really will make them happy. And if they just bite into it and then you try to pull them up, it'll just come right out. So you have to actually get them to really want to enjoy that bait. And the more they enjoy it, the more they're swallowing the hook. And after they're really sufficiently enjoying it and digesting it, then they suffer. They're trapped. And that's the way Maya works. That's the way this illusory energy works. By giving us a false promise of happiness and pleasure in the form of success, in the form of fame, in the form of wealth, in the form of entertainment that gives us relief from boredom. And when we get sufficiently attached to that, then the hook sets in. It's interesting because the name Krishna means all attractive. And by being attracted to Krishna, we transcend the illusory sources of misery that attract us in this material world. But in the same way, not the same way, but in a similar principle that Krishna attracts us away from Maya. Maya, or illusion, ignorance, keeps us trapped by attracting us away from Krishna, by promising us pleasure and happiness through these various forms of temporary sources of misery, because they're always temporary. So there are various processes of gradual elevation to come out of this trap of ignorance toward enlightenment. This material existence of three modes is very much under the laws of karma. For every action, there's an equal corresponding reaction. In the Bible, Lord Jesus spoke of this principle: as ye sow, so shall ye reap. That's a law of nature, whether you believe in it or not. Like the law of gravity. You may write so many books about how what goes up does not come down. But it's a law. What goes up must come down. So similarly, anything we do, anything we say, there will be a reaction. It may come today. It may come soon, it may come later, it may come in a future lifetime, but it will come inevitably. So the spiritual path of karma, karma kanda, and then karma yoga, is through pious actions we cultivate good results. We get good karma when we do good. We suffer when we do bad. That is karma kanda. Karma yoga is when our actions are in the service of the Lord. We actually make spiritual progress. There's jnana yoga, through understanding the nature between illusion and truth. Understanding aham brahmasmi, I'm not this body, I'm the eternal soul, Satchidananda, eternal, full of knowledge, full of happiness. And this body is destined for joys and sufferings and inevitable death. Then there's Ashtanga yoga, to create harmony between the body, the mind, the soul, and ultimately with God. Patanjali, he concluded his teachings of Ashtanga yoga, Samadhi Siddhir Ishvara Pranidhanat. The perfection of Samadhi, the goal of yoga, is to take shelter, to surrender to Ishvara, to the Supreme Lord. Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches through the 18 chapters in approximately 700 verses various ways that we can elevate our consciousness to an enlightened state. And ultimately, Krishna describes, it is only through bhakti, it is only through love, then you can know me as I am. We can achieve various levels of religious or yogic goals. But love of God can never be achieved. It's given. It's given by God. Only by the grace of God can can the soul be enlightened to understand its potential to love God. Therefore, in Srimad Bhagavatam, there's a beautiful verse, Samsadir Haritoshana. Our real success, our real perfection in whatever we do, in all of our roles, in all of our pursuits, is that Krishna's pleased. God is pleased. Yeyatamam prapadyante, Krishna tells, as you surrender to me, as you take shelter of me, I reciprocate accordingly. And what it means to actually surrender and take shelter is as we please the Lord. It's not something very abstract. At the conclusion of the 18 chapters of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna declares this profound verse that has been the North Star of countless people through the millenniums. Sarva dharman parityajya mamekam sharanam braja. Aham tvam sarva papebhyo mokshayi samimasi. Abandon all varieties of dharma and just surrender to me. Just take shelter of me, and I shall deliver you of all sinful reactions. Do not fear. We're listening to this verse, but it has such profound depth. Yesterday in San Diego, I was discussing some wonderful stories in relation to Ramanujacharya, a great saint, and last month, in April, was his 1008th birthday. He lived 120 years. Today, he has hundreds of millions of followers who go to his temples. Many of the largest, most popular temples in all of India, Tirupati, Srirangam, Melkote, Kanchipuram, are still being operated and worshipped according to the standards and according to the spirit that he established. Yes, he has millions and millions of followers today. I'd like to tell a story about him. In his lineage, he established this particular verse of Bhagavad Gita, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, as the Charama Sloka. That means the ultimate instruction for his followers. As Patanjali Yogi said, the perfection of yoga is to surrender to God. Bhagavad Gita, Ramanujacharya describes this Charama Sloka, the verse of abandoning all others. That doesn't mean we don't do other dharmas. What it means is everything we do in our dharma is in pursuit of this highest instruction, to surrender to the will of God, to please the Lord. Now, the depth of the meaning of this verse has been pursued over the ages by so many great souls. The first two disciples of Ramanujacharya were Kuresh and Dasarati. Dasarati in particular, he was one of the greatest scholars, philosophers, and orators in the world. When he spoke, he could mesmerize. But yet, as a devotee, he was very humble and always felt himself unqualified, because it is those qualities that actually endear one to the Lord. Because if we really feel qualified, how do we take shelter? How do we surrender? It takes a humble heart to take shelter of a higher power. So Dasarati approached his guru, Ramanujacharya, and requested, please explain to me the depths of this verse from Bhagavad Gita. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender to me. I shall deliver you. I shall liberate you from all sinful reactions. Do not fear. Ramanujacharya said, this is a very high subject. You have to be, it's not just what you know, it's your frame of mind. You have to be receptive. He said, you are my nephew. I advise you to go to one of my Shiksha gurus and receive this knowledge from him. So he had to walk 50 miles to a village where there was a great saint named Gosti Purna. He went to him and said, my Guru Maharaj Ramanujacharya has sent me to you. He was actually a godbrother of Ramanujacharya, to teach me about the depths of this verse. Gosti Purna said, you stay here. He did humble service in the ashram, came to the classes for 6 months, and Gostipurna did not say a word about the verse to him. But Dasarati, although as famous a scholar and as famous as orator as anybody in the world, he just carried on doing his humble service. And one day Gostipurna called him and said, wealth, knowledge, fame, all these things cannot give you the qualification to understand what it means to surrender, to take shelter of the Lord. I think now you understand this. So go back to Ramanujacharya and ask him. 6 months. He walked back 50 miles. He came into Sri Ramanujacharya's room and was explaining all this to him. And just at that moment, a young girl walked in. Her name was Atulai. She was the daughter of Ramanujacharya's godbrother, who actually initiated him. His name is Mahapurna. Ramanujacharya is a great sannyasi. Mahapurna is a grihasta. He had family and daughter. So this girl was in great distress. And she said, my father sent me to you. Said, I'm married and I'm living at my husband's home, and my father-in-law and mother-in-law are so mean to me. I can't take it any longer. Every day, in the morning and in the evening, I'm ordered to get water from a lake. This lake is 2 miles away from our home. And I have to go through dangerous jungles. And I have to do it in the early morning and at night when it's dark. I'm in so much fear. And I'm so exhausted by carrying this heavy buckets of water back and forth. And I expressed to my mother-in-law that this is really paining me. And she went into a fit of rage. She chastised me. Why didn't you bring a cook and an assistant cook to come to the house from your house? Why didn't your father send one? You want me to spend my hard-earned money to hire someone so you could sit and be lazy? Do your work. I can't do it anymore. My father said I should take this problem to you, Ramanujacharya. Ramanujacharya said, I have a solution. You need a good Brahmin who's going to go and carry that water back and forth every day. And you're going to need a good Brahmin who's going to do all the cooking for the house. And then you can be comfortable. And then he looked at Dasarati. He said, he will be your water carrier and your cook. Dasarati, with a completely grateful heart, said, yes, Guru Maharaj, yes, Guru Maharaj. And he went. And there he was, carrying water. You know, he has so many disciples. If he had internet, he would have probably 100 million followers. But here he was. Nobody knew who he was at that village where he was living. He would, every morning, every evening, carry the water, get chastised by the girl's mother-in-law every day. And he would help with the cooking. He was assisting in so many ways. He didn't tell anyone who he was. He just did the service for 6 months. And it appeared that it may go on for the rest of his life. He was willing. Just doing very menial, hard labor. One day, in the village square, this one person came, and he was reciting scriptures. And there was a crowd around him. And he was speaking from a particular verse from the Vedas. And he was very scholarly, very eloquent language he was using in Sanskrit. But he was giving wrong interpretations. He was speaking in a very impersonal way about the personal God. So Dasarati happened to be walking by with his water, and he heard it, and he saw that the people were becoming very confused. So he felt he had to say something. So when this orator paused, he explained that this is not the proper direction that this verse is going. And he said a few words. And this man became so angry. He was screaming at Dasarati. He said, look at this. A jackal thinks he belongs in heaven. Since when does a water carrier and an assistant cook instruct a great scholar about the scriptures? Go back to your kitchen and cut vegetables. Dasarati, very respectfully, completely calm, just explained the proper understanding of the verse. And he did it with such grace, compassion, and deep philosophy that everyone in the village who heard it, they never heard knowledge spoken like that before. They were astounded. And the orator who had just chastised him, he bowed down and took dust from Dasarati's feet, but nobody knew everybody knew Dasarati. He was famous, but nobody knew he was Dasarati. They thought he was the cook. When they heard this, they asked him, "What are you doing carrying water? What are you doing getting chastised by this mother-in-law all the time? We never heard anyone speak with such authority as you. What are you doing here?" Very humbly he said, "I'm just carrying out the order of my Guru Maharaj." And little by little, they realize this person they've seen for the last 6 months carrying water, it's the great Dasarati. So they all went to Srirangam, and they approached Ramanujacharya and said, "He's really humble. Whatever you want to teach him, he's learned it. But please let him come back. Now that we know who he is, we can't tolerate seeing him just working so hard, doing all these menial tasks. He could be enlightening human society." And when Ramanujacharya heard about the beautiful, humble, dedicated qualities, he said, "I will personally come." Sri Ramanujacharya went to the village, and there he saw Dasarati carrying the pots and cooking, and embraced him and said, "Come home." And they returned to Sri Rangam. And then Ramanujacharya described to him what it really means to surrender to God. In the Bhagavad Gita, this word mokshaya, moksha means liberation. I will liberate you from all sufferings and sins. Do not fear. In the path of bhakti, what that liberation actually means. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the 8 verses of ISKCON that he wrote, the 4th prayer, Nadanam na janam na sundarim kavitam vajagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishwari bhavatat bhakti rohoita kidvai. I do not come to you, my Lord. I'm not praying to you. I'm not chanting the holy names or serving you because I want wealth or fame or scholarship. Not for all the beautiful pleasures of this world. I do not ask you for supernatural powers, cities. And then Lord Chaitanya prays, I do not want moksha, liberation. I only want to serve you for your pleasure, according to your desire. If it is your wish, birth after birth after birth. That is love. Savai pung sang paro dharmo yato bhaktir hokshaje. Ahoita ki aprati hataya yatma suprasidati. The supreme dharma, the sarva dharman parityasya, the supreme dharma Bhagavatam describes, is loving transcendental service to the Supreme Lord. Such loving service, bhakti, must be unmotivated by any type of ego, by any type of selfishness, and uninterrupted by all the various changing circumstances of this world, in order to actually completely satisfy the self. Srila Prabhupada often quoted Srimad Bhagavatam, when you water the root of the tree, all parts of the tree are satisfied. So when the Bhagavatam is saying unmotivated, uninterrupted service, which means pure love, prema. Because that's what pleases Krishna, that's what pleases the self. The only true satisfaction of our soul is to the degree we please Krishna through the sincerity of our love. And in the final verse of ISKCON, Ashlisyava, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is actually speaking in the spirit of Sri Radharani's love, his supreme pleasure potency. That, my dear Lord, if you like, you can embrace me. I heard just today at Rupanuga Prabhu's house, Srila Prabhupada speaking this verse according to how I'm going to say it now. My dear Lord, you can embrace me. You could trample on me, or you can break my heart by not being present before me throughout my whole life. Or even you could break my heart by not being present before me, birth after birth after birth. But I still remain your loving servant, here to please you unconditionally. This is what love of God in its most intensified, concentrated, and elevated way is. The gopis of Vrindavan, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu described their renunciation, their sharanam, their surrender is the deepest and most inclusive. And they're not great orators. Some of the gopis, they're cowherd girls. They take care of cows. They churn butter. Of course, it's ahimsa butter. Some are mothers. But their love is unconditional. And some of these gopis, these most simple lovers of God, they came in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela, and some of them became among the greatest philosophers and scholars that ever lived on this earth. Jiva Goswami, Rupa Goswami, Sanatan Goswami. But they taught from this platform of pure love, prema. What does it really mean to surrender? What does it really mean to take shelter? We adjust ourselves according to whatever may be happening in this world by always keeping our focus on the purpose and goal of life. And so many of the confusions and conflicts of this world is we take the means to the goal as a thing of itself and lose focus of the goal it's meant to bring us to. And we see this in every religion, in every spiritual path. There's the essence. There's the goal. To love God. The Old Testament, the New Testament. This is the first and great commandment. To love God with all your heart, mind, and soul. And to love your neighbor as yourself. And as our love grows, our conception of who our neighbor also expands. Srila Prabhupada describes when you're a little child, you love food. Anamai. A child just wants to eat. But as he grows up a little, that love for food, he wants to share and give food to his brother, his or her brothers and sisters, even parents. That's a beautiful thing, isn't it? When you see little children, first they just want to eat, but then somehow or other, I've seen it in all little children, they want to give what they like to eat, they want to start giving. I meet a lot of babies. And I don't know how many times they give me things. Sometimes they just take it out of their mouth and say, that means their love is expanding to want to share it. And then it goes to their friends and first to their family and then to friends and then to the society, and then they might be nationalists and then they might be internationalists and then they might be humanitarian. And as our love expands, our compassion to include other people expands. And when we actually love God, and we see Vidyavanaya Sampane Brahmani Gavyastini, we see every living being as a child of God. And in whatever way we have the power to do so, we want to be an instrument of compassion and help them to find that. You know, when a child likes something, he wants to share it. When we taste love of God, we want to give back because everything else is so pale in comparison. And so transient. But the means by which we try to awaken, through disciplining ourselves in such a way that we can keep focused and not keep cluttering and covering our mind and senses and karmic condition with more and more distractions. Because we're so habituated to take that which is sacred cheaply and to take things that are cheap sacred, even in the name of religion and spirituality, and our worship of God becomes a means by which we could become arrogant, feeling better than others. And the thing itself is what is making us feel important, rather than the thing itself humbling us to actually take shelter of the love of God that it's meant to achieve. And that holds true in every aspect of life. Here in the United States of America, it's based on democracy. And I'm not going to share any political views because I'm really unqualified for political views. Because my experience is so many people think they know, but so few people know. And I'm one of the ones who really doesn't know. So who am I? And so many people are fighting because it's just a matter of who you're getting your information from. And if one person's getting information from one source, another person's getting information from another source, and both think that they're right, and usually all those sources are speculating, now we become enemies. We start fighting, we start having conflicts. And basically, the process of democracy could really, unless we understand what is the goal of democracy, what is the principle of it? My understanding is beyond speculation. All men are created equal. And man means ladies too, of course. In God we trust. This is at the very basis. This is the goal. So we're so distracted. But what is the means by which we can actually pursue the real goal? To keep that focus. What does it really mean to surrender? What does it really mean to take shelter? Dasarati, he was, unless my Guru and God blesses me, I'll never understand. It's beyond intellect. We must use our intellect to the best capacity we have. And in these beautiful Shikshastakam verses that we have recited of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, we spoke the middle, we spoke the end, but at the very beginning, the foundation is Chaitodarpana Marajana. God has many names. He's empowered all of his names with his beauty, with his sweetness, his grace, and his divine presence. And by chanting these names of the Lord, we become purified. We cleanse the dust from the mirror of our minds and hearts. So as we're chanting the Lord's names, this is our goal of chanting. Kirtans are beautiful. Japa's wonderful. But still we have all these wonderful literatures and we have the association of so many great devotees from past histories and present today. They're all helping us to remain focused. That our goal of chanting is prema pumarthaman, to surrender to pleasing the Lord, to the loving service of the Lord. And that is what this beautiful painting of the Panchatattva is inviting us to understand. They are singing, they are dancing, but it's not just music, it's not just entertainment. They are in deep absorption, in prayer, to taste the sweetness of love of God and share it with all of us, and inviting us to enter into their kirtan of tasting the sweetness of love of God and sharing it with the world. That is the opportunity that we all have. Thank you very much.